Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
And welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I am Lisa Fernandes, and
I am Christopher Jayawardena.
we're going to be reviewing the 4th episode of the first season of Laverne and Shirley. That would happen to be a nun story. Guess who wrote this episode?
It was John Sayles. John Sayles did it. He did this between Alligator and Piranha, didn't he?
Actually, considering their lineage and their legacy, it's kind of close. This is written by Michael Warren and William Bickley. And you know what they're best known for? Creating sitcoms like Family Matters and Step by Step.
Ah, okay. So we have some more sitcom alums.
Yeah, awesome. This one was also directed by Alan Myerson, who handled Bowling for Raspberries.
Nice. And also was featured in Billy Jack.
Yeah. Own career of sitcom work and the movies. Yay.
It's gotta love that about Hollywood.
Police Academy movie.
Yeah. You figure they made so many Police Academy movies, like at some point, like if they kept making them, everyone would do one at some point. It's kind of like Roger Corman. Like everyone does a Corman picture at some point.
Bless Mr. Corman. Bless Mr. Corman. Okay. After holding multiple annual reunions for the graduating class, Shirley wants to hold yet another, but Laverne is resistant to attending. After another year of diminishing returns and a nearly empty dining room at the Pizza Bowl. But when Anne-Marie Polanski, one of the girls' closest friends, RSPVs, the girls are filled with excitement and happy memories of the past. Once upon a time, they were Gutsy, Nutsy, and Klutzy, 3 teenagers who are out for wild times and, semi-innocent activities such as sleepovers that involved smoking and getting revenge on the boys for peeping on them. Vern excitedly agrees to attend the reunion, but unfortunately their plans for wild times quickly crash to a halt as it's revealed that Anne-Marie is now a nun. She's living in a Chicago parish and she's happy with her calling, but the girls have no idea how to react around her, nor do any of their friends. The resulting reunion proves awkward for everyone, until a moment of camaraderie makes the gang realize that even though Anne-Marie's found her calling, she's still a human being.
Wait a minute. Nuns are people? They're people too?
People. Yeah, they're people. They've got their own interests and everything. They don't just...
Wow. Man, night after night,
preach
you learn new things. You learn so many new things.
They don't do what they do in all of those. I was gonna say Russ Meyer movies.
I'd watch a Russ Meyer nunsploitation film. I know where you're going with this.
Okay. So, what'd you think of this one?
Well, it was really nice to see. It was really great to see Vanessa Redgrave and Oliver Reed turning really great performances. Oh, wait, sorry, that's the Devils. Sorry.
I'm dying thinking about.
I'm sorry, I was gonna have to pull that off at some point. This one was so cute. As weird and wild and bizarre and sometimes raunchy as I can get. I hate to admit. I am someone that I like to believe of a bit of a spiritual nature, and I was really more active in like my Baha'i community some years ago, and it's been a while, honestly. And seeing the nun character in this, seeing her played with such a warmth and grace was really special to me, because admittedly there is, people have this perspective. I'm going to make this quick, I promise, but there's this perspective that religion in old TV shows is typically treated in very like American Christian propaganda sort of fashion. Like it's a way of reinforcing the Christian culture that was predominant in, especially, the white middle and lower class, communities. What I love about this is that it shows that the serving of God and of Jesus and trying to help people is done as a very personal thing, a personal decision. It wasn't from brainwashing. It was that she found a calling that made her happy. And so I know this goes into the meta of the episode, but it is something straight out the gate I want to make sure I didn't forget. It meant a lot to me, and I really enjoyed this one because of that. That being said, it also was hilariously goofy. The flashback scene is like perfect physical. Like again, the timing is great. The edit's really good. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with this one.
This is top 4 episodes for me in the first season. This is just really, really good. Perfect combination of goofiness and character work and sentiments and everything that the show can be. And this is it at its best. This is probably the show's best treatment of religion as well. Religion will pop up a couple more times during the show's run. There was one awful episode in season 8 that's just breathing down our necks, but we'll get to it. But this is the show's best treatment of religion overall.
The more you talk about that episode, it's like I feel as if I'm going to Antarctica and I'm bit by bit getting closer to the mountains of madness.
That's what it's like watching the episode. We'll get there.
Well, we'll have giant penguins at least. Oh boy.
The kind of giant penguins who speak through pickles. Anyway. Yeah, the flashback here is really, really, really fun, and it's really noteworthy. This is the first time we see the girls as teenagers. There's going to be a whole episode about that in season 4.
Oh, I'm excited for that. I really love that. That was so cute.
You get to see a teenage Lenny and Squiggy, and they're both hilarious. Even more hilarious than they are here.
Oh.
And it's you can see how they were all like friends back in the day, and how this is kind of mellowed into a fond memory because they got the revenge big time, and it's kind of mellowed into a point of reference for all of them. Mm-hmm. So it's really cute, really well directed, really well acted. And you can tell the acting is superb, and how they delineate the difference between them being teenagers and between them being adults.
Right.
So I thought that's one of my favorite points of the whole episode. And Anne-Marie is a great supporting character. We never see her again, sadly.
Oh,
she
man.
She is one of my favorite supporting minor characters in the series run. She's just really fun and interesting, and just gives depth to a character that might not otherwise have depth, as you pointed out. Mm-hmm. Encounter with Hector. What did you think of Hector?
That was fun. I had despite myself, that was fun. Oh boy.
He gets a whole episode later on.
Oh boy.
He gets a whole episode later on, and it's kind of amazing for various reasons. But he gets to anchor an entire one. It's great.
Good for him. Good for him. He got some more iron in his diet, and he anchored an episode. If people can't tell, I very much have more of a riffing style of comedy these days. I'm so sorry, Lisa.
Yeah, I just love how what I love here is that the awkwardness of trying not to offend your friend whom you love a lot, but who has fundamentally changed, and you have no idea how to handle it. No idea how to handle it at all. So you just kind of stumble around, and you realize you just said, "I bet your buns" to a nun, to quote Laverne. So.
Right. Yeah.
No idea what's going on. You're just flying blind, and bam.
Yeah, I think that's what's one of the things I enjoy about the episode too. Is like because like a lot of comedy, it's very like there's a straight person and the goofy person, and the goofy person's in this case being Laverne and Shirley, and it's coming from a place of they're goofy because they don't know, and it's not that they're idiots. They just it's just simple ignorance, and they actually are trying to do the right thing. They're just either going overboard or they're getting awkward about it. And it is really beautifully sincere that it's like, because they really respect their friend's decision. They're a little shocked. They're definitely shocked, but it's like, and the line has to be redrawn. But I think it's kind of cute that they found a way to make the comedy be about how you react to people changing, and actually, to be honest, finding them happier than they were the last time you saw them. That it's an unexpected change, but you feel like, well, yeah, but if this is you, then I still care that you're happy.
Yeah, that ultimately it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that they're satisfied with their life, and your friend is still your friend, even with new outer appearances and new inner feelings. So it's very nicely handled. The whole thing is very nicely handled. I liked the reunion scene so very much. You can see how this would be Shirley's special, dull as dishwater affair every year, doing the same thing over and over again, which is an interesting point of view for someone who's basically trying to escape that world, trying to escape that high school life, trying to escape her life in a Milwaukee that's kind of down on its heels.
Yeah, it's an interesting contrast, I think, but again, it comes down to, I think, connecting a bit with what we were talking about in the last episode, where Shirley got this moment of getting to kind of feel back in control when she mother hens. I feel like that's part of Shirley's sort of defining trait. And well, actually, now that I think about it, there is an episode coming up where you really understand why. But that Shirley likes to have this sense of sort of control of her life. And I think because she dreams, that dream is something that she can control. And here with the reunion something that she can control, that she can create this sort of bubble and she can believe what she wants to believe about the past. And true or not, it can get, it's something that she holds on to and hinges a certain, and at the very least gets a very particular level of comfort from, which, with uncertainty of adulthood, I get it.
It's like, and then in the end, ultimately, it's about trying to keep parts of the past, because she had, now I wouldn't say an obsession, but one of her favorite possessions is a family album. And she loves her family album. She clings to her family album. That's going to come up later on. And it's an interesting dichotomy between what she wants her future to be and what your past is and what her past means to her. So that's what the interesting thing about Shirley is that she is part that girl looking out for the future, like you said before, and that girl who is the same girl who's basically got kicked out of brownies with Laverne.
Yep.
That story is one of my favorite little canon details, that they got kicked out of the brownies together. So, okay. Can you imagine just sitting there, just making all of those toilet paper carnations year after year?
I can't, because I think like after like 2 years, I would say this even to my like family, like after 1 or 2, like 2 years, especially if the party ends up being awful and dreadful and and just kind of maybe not awful, but just bland, a certain type of mediocrity. 2 years of that, just no, I can't. I love you, but no. It's like I have limits, So yeah, fun fact, I apparently am a shitty friend because of that, probably.
Nah. But even like Laverne draws the line here. She says, no, I'm not going to another reunion. They're terrible. The same thing happens. Nobody comes. So, it's not about being a bad friend. It's about, being tired of the past and seeing basically the same people that she sees in life.
Yeah.
It's just all those restaurants.
Right. And that's an interesting point, is that you get to see with Anne Marie the example of someone who kind of got out and went somewhere else. And then you see that because of the fact that most of the same circle, I mean, I wouldn't doubt, I haven't been paying too much attention to the background players, but I would not be surprised if at the reunions, some of those background actors, they've shown up in the restaurant, multiple times through the season.
Those extras, I think, are actually visible.
Right. Because that means
during various scenes, yes.
Because what that would mean is that there's nothing new to say, because it's like, because part of the point of a reunion is, oh gosh, how you doing? Like, I made a feature, a feature film.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those people I have not seen since we premiered it 5 years ago. Like one of them just became a dad. I mean, multiple of them have become fathers since then and parents since then. And it's like, if I was to get everybody back together now, that would be like, wow, there's like all this other stuff we get to find out about each other and how we're doing, how like our perspectives have changed, our perspective in the film, what we're working on creatively. But if you see the same people all the time, the reunion doesn't have the same impact. And so I think that's kind of the catch, is that I think Shirley gets to believe that everything's still okay and everything's still, like she can have this little like bit of like, I'm going to do something great and everyone's going to love it and everyone's going to love me and they enjoy it. And the truth is that it's like, to them, it's like, we're going to the same place that we always go. It's like going to the Winchester. We always go to the Winchester.
It's like what Laverne says in the pilot about them having their niche.
Yeah.
This is their niche. They go to the pizza bowl. They date guys from the pizza bowl. They go to the brewery, and that's their niche.
Hmm.
And Shirley both loves her niche and wants to break out of her niche. And it's
Yeah.
like interesting to observe.
Hmm.
The other interesting part of this episode is that not only the boys all show up every year, they seem to enthusiastically enjoy showing up every year, even though apparently Squiggy was the class valedictorian. I just want this to be said. This is canon. He is the class valedictorian.
I think I think that selfie I sent you a while back of my incredulous expression. I think I just did it again. What?
He was the class valedictorian. This is canon. That is actual canon. And later on, they say that they didn't graduate, which was weird. That's inconsistency. It drives me nuts.
But, I bet. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
At the very least, I gotta say there is something wrong with that school board if both those facts are true. I don't know. There should be some serious PTA meetings after that.
Well, that is the problem with trying to figure out linear canon with the show sometimes, because sometimes they didn't seem to have a book. That's because of the incredible turmoil that happened backstage. It's been addressed a million times. Maybe we'll talk about it as we go along. Maybe we won't. But y'all know the stories. So if you don't, leave a comment. We'll talk about it sometime. But yeah. But yeah, that's why we don't have a consistent book. But even in shows without that kind of turmoil, like the Golden Girls, they were having like 10 years later or less, they didn't have a consistent book. So
yeah, it seems to be always not a one-to-one. You need the book to keep things consistent, as long as like there's a certain understanding. And it seems as if like as what you're describing is that there was the writers and actors were doing things to an inconsistent degree, and that maybe if the writers were changing, that then there was also certain changes being made because the producers were saying we want to do this, or the actors were saying we want to do this. Yeah, it's in many ways it's making fiction collaboratively. It is kind of in ways like Parenthood, or like you know, and in the sense that like you may have like the two main parents of the work, which might be like the producer and director, or the director and the writer, and then you have like the teachers, and you have the you know, the extended family, and all these different components that then add their own 2 cents or their own little piece of spice to the soup. And sometimes it all sings together, and other times it's like, well, yeah, but then someone adds something and it doesn't really work, and that has to be taken out or ignored, and you know, just move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Lenny's confession thing.
Yes.
It's God. That's good. That was hilarious. I mean, it's like he just.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it was even down to the point that he was like confessing like even the little stuff, right? The sort of like I'm going to go to hell if like, you know, this little thing, like, you know, it's
yeah.
Yeah,
I stole this. I cheated on a hygiene quiz. And then,
yep.
But it's okay because he flunked. And
yeah.
That was the year he was out with Ringworm. And that book shows you that's actually the baseline squirming guilt that lives within that guy. And it becomes more and more prevalent as we get deeper into the show. His guilt, his Catholic guilt, which resurfaces next episode. But the religious part of that doesn't become a consistent part of the character, but the guilt does. He does have these moments of extreme guilt that just pop up, and it's beautifully, beautifully, beautifully acted.
Yeah, yeah,
beautifully, beautifully, beautifully done. And the little tiny, tiny details that Michael puts into Lenny, if you watch his performance over time, the little tiny ways he moves his hands and the way he squirms, and the way he hunches and holds himself, it's all combining into a single performance that absolutely makes you believe that this character is real, and this character has been through some stuff, which we'll get to.
Right. It definitely makes me realize it was a good thing he was able to be in things like Spinal Tap to kind of break himself out of the mold of that character, because it would be, I could see if the show had been further successful and his character had taken off even further. Like if you know there's that discussion of they were thinking about spinning off Lenny and Squiggy,
which almost happened.
Almost happened. I could see him getting stuck in that rut playing that one character, for a long time. And we see how good of an actor he is because he's able to play that role so believably and then play other characters in other projects, Short Circuit 2. But even well, because I was gonna say, he's become this, at times he can be a very good character actor.
You watch him in Better Call Saul, and he's absolutely reptilian as Chuck. Absolutely reptilian. Reptilian is the first thing I think of when I think of that character. And you compare that to Lenny, who's like an open heart and like a bleeding wound, and it shows you how versatile he is.
Nice.
But I can tell you how he broke out of this mold. He did this deliberately. What he did was he was getting a lot of offers for Next Door Neighbor parts. And he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to be pigeonholed. So he deliberately did Young Doctors in Love next, where he is a straight man. No accent, nothing. I don't know if I've shown any clips from that, but that was also Gary Marshall produced.
Oh, that's the film about the hospital, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah.
But that was how he got people to look at him in a different way, and that's the way his career started, and that's what happened.
Oh, snap. Okay.
And that's how he ended up not getting pigeonholed in that single character.
So it's probably out of print, but yeah, Young Doctors in Love is actually on Blu-ray. It was a KL Studio Classics, Region A.
I did not hear this. Did you not know it needed a Blu-ray? It deserves to be on a Blu-ray.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's got Harry Dean Stanton and Sean Young and Michael McKean, and it's directed by Gary Marshall. I mean, bam.
Bam. It's very good. It's one of the more obscure Airplane, and all those parody movies that came out after Airplane. You had this huge phalanx of movies that were of that same vein and in that same milieu, and you had like The Big Bus with Stockard Channing, and you had this, and you had I can't remember what else you had, but there was all these disaster parodies, and that's what happened. And then you ended up branching out more, and you had the direct soap opera parodies. Soap operas were huge when that movie happened.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's that's how that happened. That was all pre-Naked Gun too. Because there was like a big revival when Naked Gun happened, and then Scary Movie happened, and there was another revival. So
yeah, because wow, yeah. That'll take us down another rabbit hole of like talking about Top Secret and Hot Shots, and then yeah, the Zaz team and Kentucky Fried. Anyway, sorry folks, nerds, we do this.
Anyway, yeah, this is kind of like the first glimpse at Lenny being vulnerable. And he is extremely vulnerable during the show.
Yeah, it seems to be something that kind of comes up. Like you even notice, like even sometimes when you get to the Lenny and the Squig Tones kind of stuff, like Squiggy is more overtly confident, and that's why, as you were saying, like there's that point where you can kind of see like the way that Squiggy kind of drags Lenny around in a way. Like there's like it becomes that aspect, and sort of you see, I guess, the softer, more real side of it in the way that he is vulnerable with Anne-Marie, and he's like, he feels like there's a sense of guilt or there's a sense of fear and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. And Michael actually addressed that. He said that he was David's 6-foot prop at one point in certain episodes.
Oh my God.
In that way. In some episodes that feels true, and others, obviously, there's a lot of meat on this character that gets explored, and it depends on your episode. It depends on your episode if that feels true to you or not.
Your mileage may vary.
That's the difference between the boys, ultimately. Like, you can't imagine Lenny being the one writing the lyric, "Who wants to sleep with the same broad night after night?" You can't imagine those words coming out of his mouth, considering, his instinct is to propose to any woman who's nice to him for more than 5 minutes. Really.
I've only seen glimpses of that. I'm actually kind of looking forward to that aspect because it's hashtag relatable.
Coming and I love it. It's coming and I love it. And I love it. I love it. But yeah, he's the kind of guy who is in a relationship with a girl, and it's going well. And when she tells him, I have to move to New York for my thesis, he goes, okay, I'm going to go with you. That's the kind of guy he is.
I can respect that.
That's the kind of guy he is, as Laverne illustrates perfectly in this point. Anyway, okay, now let's go on with that.
Yeah, so the one thing I wanted to at least return back to is Laverne and Shirley in this episode. I love also that they felt that their own, with especially with Shirley being, like so quote unquote in air quotes innocent. She's still Vodio, and so they're and they're so excited to have Anne Marie, like, to be able to kind of get a little bit of that fire back, and like that kind of that rambunctious and rebellious, and like it's a little body and naughty and things like that. Only for them to be confronted by not only is that one of their own has gone this way, but it was the one that was kind of the most kind of clever and rebellious and sexy of the group. And I love how they react to them having to reflect on their own morality and their own perspective of that, and them figuring, and not just what they have or haven't done with their life, but also like for themselves, like, have I been a good person when this is someone else making this big sacrifice, and how that lands. I thought that was really cool.
And Anne Marie's the kind of girl who used to huddle with the football team, because that's his exact line. Whoa. He says that. He says something akin to that.
Oh,
but she's the one who comes up with the idea of trapping Hector in his underwear in the closet of Laverne's family apartment, so that not just to take pictures of him in his underwear, but then Frank stumbles upon him and it becomes an even worse situation, but a hilarious one even to them. So
right,
but yeah, that's the kind of girl she was, and the kind of girl she turns into is someone who is her and yet different. So that's how it's interesting how the show handles that and that entire thing. So yeah.
So, and how is this episode like looked at? Like how do people feel when they look at this episode? Is this a well liked one? Is it one that people do get this kind of deeper conversation out of?
In the fandom, this one doesn't get talked about a ton. It's remembered fondly. I think it's enjoyed in a lot of different places for multiple different little scenes in it. But we don't get like into the deeper like religious discussion or implications of it. It just gets talked about. This is a good episode. I like this for the character stuff. I liked it for Anne Marie. I like it for all the little tiny little bits in there.
It's I guess the reminder we're both writers. We have to think about these things.
Yeah, we really enjoy thinking about these things. Perhaps too much. But yeah, the fan community, which is like we're pretty small. Since the show isn't airing anywhere consistently except for Logo right now, and I think Cozy might have it. People in the comments, please correct me. It might be Cozy that is also running it, or MeTV. I can't remember who lost the rights. I just know it's on Logo. That's what I watch it on, just to give them that little ratings boost, even though I have everything up to season 7 on DVD. I'm going to buy season 8. Say prayers for me, children. I have to buy season 8 soon.
Oh, geez. I have to get I still have to get the whole rest of the series.
Yeah, you do. So it's a good investment, though. Most of the series is good. It's like good all the way up to season 8, and then like 3 episodes of season 8. 3 episodes of season 8 are
all right.
Pretty good, darn good. But yeah, we're small. We're fairly active. We're fairly active in like tiny clusters. And we just, we talk about what we like, what we dislike. We have certain in-jokes at this point, because I've known like the same people for like 10 years or so, and we know what's coming in certain aspects, you know what I mean? And so when we introduce other people, we're like, look at this part. You know what's coming, but I know it's coming.
Yeah, that's that has definitely come up a time or two in the last few weeks.
It's just the nuns with the pickles. It's just the nuns with the pickles. I love that, so I die.
All right. Yeah. So thankfully, this was an episode with nuns, sans the pickles.
Yes, this is the best nun-based episode of the show.
Okay, so that's a great distinction there. And what's your ranking? And what's your ranking out of 10?
For me, this is somewhere around an 8. This is really good. Great character stuff. little simple things like the boys are waiting for Anne-Marie to come in, and Lenny dares Squiggy to ask Anne-Marie to dance. And he says, "Oh, I'll do it." And he says, "No, you're not going to do it." And then Anne-Marie comes in as a nun, and Squiggy just goes up to him and asks her to dance.
Yeah.
So those little tiny little things are really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's yeah. There's a lot of cute stuff. I think I would rank it about the same, to be honest, for a lot of those same reasons.
Yeah, it's a really, really cute episode. It's got a lot of really good character stuff. It's got a lot of fun little moments. It's got the alma mater in it for Fillmore High School. Girls graduate class of 56. So 56, and I think the season is set in 57. So this is only a year later, and this is why everybody's being freaking crazy about Shirley.
Wow, that did not take long.
Yeah, I have to double check the spacing, the season, because time gets really confusing during the course of this series. It gets very confusing because by somewhere around season 3, it becomes 1960, and then there's a time jump, and it's 1965 by the time season 6 happens. So.
Man,
This all happens.
So yeah, okay. So it's another reminder to anyone out there writing a television show: make a book, make a timeline, understand the history. If it's a period piece, remember to look up news articles, what was going on at the time, so you're able to put those things as aspects in and see if you can use it, or if you're not, you're going to ignore it, and if you're going to ignore it, you know why you're going to ignore it. Ah, boy.
But yeah, it's But yeah, this isn't the only sitcom where this stuff just happens. It's tougher because it's a historical sitcom at this point with nostalgia factor. So when you get stuff like this is the Kennedy election and this is versus Nixon, and you're trying to go, wait a minute, last year was 1957, and you go, huh? So it's one of those shows. It only gets really tripped up on the intense historical stuff. Characters are genuinely and generally consistent. Generally. Until we get to the Flanderization hell, but we'll get there.
That'll be interesting discussion when that happens. But
we'll get there. Milk is coming. Along with the nuns and the pickles.
Pickles in my ears, my God. Now I'm just thinking, oh God, I just had this thought of getting a wet willy with a pickle in my ear, and just, I mean, technically, when what was it, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3? It's like it's wet willy time, and yeah, the Ninja Turtles fingers are like pickles, just like.
Oh God. Don't make me think of what Ninja Turtles smell like. They spend a little time in the sewer. Anyway.
Oh wow. Okay. I unintentionally tortured my best friend. Okay. Sorry about that.
No. You made me laugh. So.
It's true. You laughed him off the hook. Okay. So I guess is that all for this time?
I'd be off this time at the moment. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Make sure to check us out on the social medias if you had fun, if you had a good time, if you want to join us in on this wild journey. And we are on Twitter on the Book of All Faces, and we also have got the Tumblr page, and we're on Patreon. My goodness! And make sure to look for Night After Night Pod or Night After Night PC on Twitter. And we'll hopefully be here listening to you guys again soon. And so which episode are we up on next? I think I remember liking this next one.
This one's really great. This is Falter at the Altar coming up. Laverne accepts an engagement offer from a handsome young sailor. Unfortunately, he doesn't give her goosebumps. And when Shirley figures out that Laverne doesn't love this guy, she tries to convince her to avoid going through with the marriage. And it's fun. It's a cute one.
Well, I mean, what if Goosebumps just isn't the R.L. Stine series he wants to give her?
Shh. We mean thrills. Cheap thrills. I mean cheap thrills. Kind have to pay for in the Five and Dime store. Anyway.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us.
Bye. See you soon.